David Ken here with another question from your Hayes and Harris Math SL textbook. This is exercise 10I.2, question 1A and I. In this question, we're asked to factorize these expressions. Now, one thing that may not be clear to you is that when we say sine squared of theta, that is sine times sine. That's a square. So this is equal to 1 take sine of theta squared. And 1 can also be expressed as 1 squared. Now what this means is that I have a difference of squares. 1 squared take sine of theta squared. And I can utilize difference of squares factorization as normal. I'll do 1 take sine of theta times 1 plus sine of theta. And that's the factorized expression. For our other part, part I, this is a less clear factorization. We'll have to just use our intuition here a little bit. If I want to factorize this, I need some numbers that multiply to give me 6, and numbers that multiply to give me -1. My choices are pretty limited. For -1, it's going to be 1 and -1, if this is going to factorize cleanly. For 6, I could use 1 and 6, or I could use 2 and 3. But what I notice is that right here in the center, I want a small number. I only want 1 cosine of alpha. So what I'm going to want to pick are probably some numbers which are pretty close together and try and get them to cancel out to give me just 1. So I'm going to try 2 and 3. I want more negative numbers than positive numbers, so I'm going to make sure that I multiply the 3 by -1 and multiply the 2 by +1. And then I'll just fill in cosine of alpha in the middle. It's probably a good idea to double check that this factorization works, so let's check by foiling. F-O-I-L, first, outer, inner, last. The first term's 2 cosine alpha times 3 cosine alpha. 2 times 3 is 6. And cosine alpha times cosine alpha is cosine squared alpha. Outer is 2 cosine alpha times 1, so plus 2 cosine alpha. I, inner, -1 times 3 cosine alpha is -3 cosine alpha. And L, last, -1 times +1 is -1. This gives me 6 cosine squared of alpha. Then I have 3 cosines of alpha, take 2 cosine of alpha, take 3 cosine of alpha is -1 cosine of alpha, take 1. So I get my original expression back. These two expressions are the same, which tells me that my factorization is correct. So the answer is this. That's the factorized form. And here's my double checking.